Hello and welcome to Orbit International Youth Talk Show. Now, this talk show is a youth space and forum where young people get to share their challenges, hopes, aspirations, and dreams. Now, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic that has to do with gender-based violence. And as much as we might say that gender-based violence is on both sides, but it is more prevalent amongst women in Zimbabwe. Now, according to the UNFPA, 1 out of 3 women aged 15 to 49 years of age are facing physical violence on a daily basis. Now, today with us, we have a very special guest, and his name is Emmanuel, the director of Better Life Foundation for Marginalized Communities. And he's here to tell us about what gender-based violence is and how it affects communities. And he's also here to tell us about the journey he embarked in different communities as he made a documentary about young women or women facing gender-based violence. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Yeah, welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, so can you reintroduce yourself?
Okay. Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Manyati.
Yes.
I come from Motoko, and I lead an organization called Better Life Foundation for Marginalized Communities. I'm young, energetic man who is passionate about empowering women and girls in marginalized, remote, and hard-to-reach areas of Zimbabwe.
Okay. Now, tell me something, Emmanuel. We all hear about gender-based violence. What is it? What can you define it as?
Gender-based violence is emotional, physical, psychological, or sexual harm inflicted against any person, whether male or females, by another person for the purposes of damaging that person, or either emotionally or physically. Okay,
all right. And what prompted you? I know that you're a women rights promoter.
Yeah.
What prompted you to go in that direction?
What prompted me is my background concerning what I grew up seeing in terms of gender-based violence. My background is like I witnessed many women in my community, including my mother, suffering abuse in the hands of men.
Okay.
And this prompted me to become a staunch gender activist. And what I saw happening is just a drop in the ocean, or a tip of the iceberg of what is happening within the larger community. So I think I just decided to venture into women's rights so that we create communities and spaces that are safe for women and girls to excel in their lives.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for such an initiative. Now, why do you think, some people say gender-based violence is so archaic or it's old, but why do you think it's still existing in our communities in this day and age?
Gender-based violence is not old. It's mutating, and it's so diverse. It's mutating in very different forms, especially nowadays. We have harassment of women in public and entertainment places. We also have early and forced child marriages. We have violence against women, sexual violence against women. So it's there, and it is happening because of continued male dominance in this society. And also, especially when we look at marginalized communities, despite the fact that our government has come up with very good policies regarding to safeguarding women from gender-based violence, but we see that in community, in rural or remote, in marginalized communities, it's prevalent. It's still prevalent. Why? Because of culture and continued male dominance, and also women are not empowered enough to take up the task of protecting themselves from violence. So they at times they do not go to report these cases because of poverty or because of their reliance on men, and also because of we are brought up in patriarchal societies whereby privileges and benefits are designed to serve men or to benefit men at the expense of women.
Wow. What are the most common forms of gender-based violence in Zimbabwe right now?
In Zimbabwe, there's physical violence, of which I mentioned earlier, harassment of women. We also have sexual violence, which goes deeper into early and forced child marriages and rape.
And why is it most women are vulnerable to it?
Most women are vulnerable because of the what I also said earlier, cultural issues.
Yes.
Our culture is designed in a way that men are at the top, or men should be leaders, or men should be the decision makers, and women are just the receptors or the depositories of the decisions that men make.
Okay.
Like I talked, because the issue of culture.
Yes.
And women do not lack sufficient information or knowledge on how they can actually empower themselves.
Okay.
And also emancipate themselves from oppression.
Okay.
So that's the reason why it's still also dominant in the society.
Okay.
And also the adventure or the advent of women's rights or gender justice also sparked the escalation of gender-based violence. Why? Because when women started to raise up their concerns, and at the same time men started to resist. So there's also a problem of not meaningfully involving men in the empowerment process of women.
I see.
So there is need for much involvement of empowerment of men and boys, so that they become also the enablers or the promoters of women's rights.
Okay.
So as women start to claim their space, as far as gender justice and gender equality are concerned, men start to resist. And that's the reason why we see nowadays there's so much escalation of divorces. Why? Because women are no longer women have reached a point whereby they are no longer comfortable staying in abusive relationships that continue to threaten their peace and security.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a participatory approach where everyone should be included.
Yes.
All right. Well, after the short break, Emmanuel will be talking to us about the documentary that he made of women actually fighting against gender-based violence, and also the festival that he pioneered that is part of campaigning and fighting against gender-based violence. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were talking about gender-based violence and why most women are more vulnerable to it. And we're with Emmanuel, the director of Better Life Foundation, who is also in the movement campaigning against gender-based violence. And he's here to tell us more about the documentary that he made and the festival that he pioneered in order to fight against gender-based violence. Welcome back, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know that you have this amazing documentary that you made that is called Marginalized Women in Jeopardy.
Yeah.
What made you decide to make, and this documentary and follow these stories?
Okay, I'm a journalist by training.
Okay.
So when I initiated my organization, I also thought or decided that we should also use media as a tool for advocacy,
yes,
and also for tipping up stories in the community, so that we come up with feasible solutions.
Okay.
There's always a say that says an issue becomes a case in the presence of evidence.
Okay.
So we are looking for evidence so that we also push lawmakers to come up with laws that protect women.
Okay.
So this documentary, Marginalized Women in Jeopardy, I produced it from a community called the Hoyu Settlement Area that recorded one of the highest cases of gender-based violence and rape in Mashonaland East Province.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Where did you said you documented them in that community? How was it for you following these women as, they were going through, whatever they were going through?
What I discovered, or what really happened, is just miraculous. The cases followed me rather than me following up on the cases.
Yeah, okay.
What really happened is we went to a community for sensitization on child marriages and gender-based violence. So it's a marginalized community. It's a very hard to reach area. So when we arrived in that place, usually when you arrive with stakeholders, that's when women with various issues around gender-based violence come to report their cases, because there are no many avenues avenues where they can actually report these cases. So they actually came. So luckily, there came a woman who had a bandage in the head, who was complaining that her husband hit her in the head, because she allowed another man to pass through their garden, but there was a way there. So there are just simple cases that are happening, and there are also very high cases of child marriages in those areas. And at one of the schools, one of the headmasters at Chikara Secondary Schools said that over half of the girls that register to write O-level exams, over half of them fail to come and write my exams. Why? Because vamwe vacho vanenge varorwa, vamwe vacho vanenge vaenda kuvarume, vamwe varegedzeswa kuenda kuchikoro vakutoita mahouse girl or housemaid. Middle and high income families. So those are the challenges that we are faced with. And varume in those areas, they don't believe in negotiating nemadzimai. They don't believe in sending vanaskana kuskoro. And in those areas also kune mama apostolic sects that also believe in child marriages and that do not believe in sending vanaskana kuskoro. So their aim or their ambition in that community is to do agriculture. It's farming and farming and farming and nothing much. So also it's a heterogeneous community where that is composed of my families akabva kune dzimwe nyika like Malawi, Mozambique, and also in Zimbabwe that went in that community vachishanda maprazi. So pakazoitwa land distribution vakazowana maplots. So it's not it's a heterogeneous community. They have no common identity. Each man for himself lifestyle. Vanongorarama pachezvavo and vanogara kure nekure. So there is no community cohesion in that community.
All right. And I also know that you are the founder of the Buja Festival. Can you tell me a little bit more about the
festival? Ndakazogara kuguruswa muTanzania tese ndinotakabva ndichichabuka chilaino tichibva ikweyo takasvikira kuMozambique panonzi panochinanga pano dzimwe hama dzedu dziri ipapo nokufamba ndingandoti nyika ino yese izere wabuda azizona inini.
Buja Festival is a platform that we have created for the people of Mutoko and Mudzi, Wanonzwana Samtoko, or the Buja people. It's a platform that we have created for them to celebrate the uniqueness, vibrancy, and richness of their culture. So to celebrate the uniqueness and vibrance of their culture, we are also looking into harmful cultural practices like that we have been talking about, male dominance, negative masculinities, alien forced marriages, so as much as we want to celebrate our cultural diversity, we should make sure that we create spaces that are safe for women and girls to exercise, to fully exercise their rights, to fully excel in life.
Okay, well, I'm learning a lot, and I hope next time you have the festival, Orbit International will definitely be there.
Thank you. Yeah, we were invited.
Okay, after the short break, we will be discussing more about why gender-based violence is happening behind closed doors and most cases go unreported. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were talking to Emmanuel about why gender-based violence is still so rampant in Zimbabwe, especially amongst young women. And we were also talking about the documentary and the festival that he was able to pioneer. Now, just before, you were watching a documentary which is powerful, and it really shows how much gender-based violence is still prevalent amongst Zimbabwean communities. Welcome back, Emmanuel. Okay, now, gender-based violence is still happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Why do you think there are so many unreported cases of gender-based violence?
Especially when it comes to behind closed doors, it usually happens in families.
Yes.
Yeah, between spouses.
Okay.
So I think the reason being that men are the breadwinners in the families. So women are reluctant or afraid of reporting them.
Okay.
Why? Because if they are incarcerated, which means they will no longer earn an income.
Okay.
Then another problem, let's say Baba is inflicted violence against Vana. Vana also rely on Baba, and also our cultural values. Vanoti Baba is the head of the family.
Okay.
Saka Baba kana very head of the family. Kuva mangarira is like rising against the father,
yes,
which is also against our cultural values of rising against the parents. So you end up uchingona vana vanogona kusataura. At times mwana anogona was sexually abused onzi nyarara. And then there's also this nyaya yekushikisidzira vana, yeah, nekushikisidzira mukadzi kuti anofunga kuti maybe ndikamusungisa anogona kundiramba, kana kuti kana ari mwana baba vanogona kundidzinga panapa ndikavasungisa. Even your family, the extended family network can also rise against you kuti vamangarira baba wako sei.
Okay.
So at times they believe in solving these issues, not using my legal channels, but also using my family or traditional channels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So inyaya kuti sometimes as women we don't have the financial muscle or capacity to say kuti even if I report and tikasiana nimrumi, I'm able to survive on my own.
Yes, they are not economically empowered.
Yes.
Yeah, they are not economically empowered,
Okay.
so they cannot do things on their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how has the government been able to deal with gender-based violence? What are the policies or laws that are there?
Yeah, there are some policies and laws. Recently, this law that was passed to end my early and forced child marriages.
Okay.
That compels or that inorambidza vaskana vasarorwe vari below 18.
Okay.
Yeah, vanofanira vari 18 and above.
Okay.
Then there's also the gender-based domestic violence bill.
Yes.
The domestic violence bill it offers a holistic approach to problems that are faced by women in the society.
Okay.
In emotional, physical, sexual abuse, economic abuse, all those issues in Zibata, and it also penalizes perpetrators.
Okay. No, what else do you feel needs to be done to curb gender-based violence in Zimbabwe?
In order to curb gender-based violence, there is need for meaningful involvement of women and boys as the perpetrators, as the most perpetrators then of gender-based violence. Vanoda kunge vachiudzwa kuti vanzwisise, because the moment you leave them out, vanotanga ku resist, or you alienate them. Then there's also need to channel resources towards community-based initiatives, or even communities that are marginalized. Why? Because those communities that are marginalized or that are in rural areas, ndo acho are still deeply rooted into my cultural norms and values and systems and oppress madzimai. And ndo kune madzimai who are not knowledgeable about their rights that are enshrined in the new constitution. So if we also look into those areas, I think it's not gonna curb this the cancer of gender-based violence, and also there is need for stiffer penalties. I always question pane this problem yokuti pane stiffer penalties against my cattle rustlers, because nezimumba dzichabiwe.
Okay.
But when it comes to gender-based violence, every day madzimai vari kurohwa ukapinda marank cham like mumarank unoona madzimai vachitukwa vachibvutira mabhegi avo, police iripo, and it does nothing about that. And the women themselves, they don't go and report. So you find kuti pakanyasogadzirwa mitemo stiffer penalties against these perpetrators. Pakangonyasosunga one akapiwa 10 years, one anenge ashungurudza mudzimai murank. I think zvinogona kubuda, because I think in European countries my laws are very tough against my perpetrators. That's why tichinzwa are very isolated cases of gender-based violence. And also on the other part, I think tikatasa corruption, the police at times vanogona kubribwa, because most of the perpetrators of gender-based violence, especially kuma sexual abuse, vanenge vane financial muscle in the community. Saka vanogona kutenga police, or anogona kuudzwa zvekuita, kana vanogona kushayiwa evidence, but zvakatoitika.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for coming through, for educating us about gender-based violence. Now, if you're a woman or a man who is facing gender-based violence, you can reach Musasa Projects or Padare, and their details are just below. Don't suffer in silence, because there are organizations that are actually there for you. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for coming through, and thank you so much to the viewers. Now you can reach us on www.orbitinternational.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter @OrbitInternational.